So lately, I've been very harsh and critical on the Genshin Impact 4.0 Fontaine update. The thing is, as a massive Genshin Impact aficionado, I just really want this game to reach its full potential, so I tend to analyze things from a more critical perspective. However, after taking some more time to reflect and reanalyze things, I think I ended up being too critical. And honestly, I think I was just so wrong about a bunch of things pertaining to Genshin Impact 4.0, so I just wanted to take some time to realign some of my opinions here. One thing I repeatedly criticized was Fontaine City's engineering making no sense. Particularly, I pointed out how the water transport bridge being one lane only was unjustifiable. At the time, I assumed that these two shots of entering the city and leaving the city were taken here, which would imply only one boat can operate on the structure at a time. However, upon a closer inspection, I noticed that there's actually another road here, and that is the road you actually exit Fontaine out of. And you can tell this by the floating block structure in the background. Therefore, I was wrong, and the traffic flow of Fontaine actually does make more sense than I originally thought. And the other engineering related critique I had was the general lack of structural integrity of the buildings, and just the city's infrastructure overall not being up to code. Like, this water bridge will for sure collapse at any moment. But the thing is, we actually see lots of Fontaine's infrastructure is clearly falling apart, and in fact, lots of its past is now ruins underwater. This implies that Hoyoverse is actually fully aware of Fontaine's infrastructure integrity being subpar. And I think this will probably be incorporated into the story as a sort of showiness versus practicality motif, which will be interesting to see. All the characters being released in Fontaine actually look really cool, and honestly, I find the initial 3 femboys being released far more relatable than most previous male characters in Genshin Impact as someone who identifies as a low-T beta male. The other thing I was upset about was Fontaine not giving enough of a steampunk aesthetic, and while I still agree with this take, the thing is, I've actually come to like Fontaine's aesthetic on its own merits lately. In fact, Fontaine's theatric aesthetic is giving me massive Revue Starlight vibes, and as someone who is a massive fan of Revue Starlight and has spent well over $20,000 in the Revue Starlight Relive anime mobile game, this has me very hyped for the region. Actually, the only club I was in during high school was theater. I didn't perform on stage, just messed around with the lights and props and stuff, and tried to get the actors to mess up by subtly changing the lighting differently or misplacing a prop during the actual play. But the point is I still enjoyed theater, which is why I got into Revue Starlight Relive anime mobile game. And I think if Fontaine can borrow even 1% of inspiration from Revue Starlight in its world building and story, then we Genshin aficionados will be in for a great time. Lastly, I and many others have been poo-pooing the underwater exploration in Fontaine, I think, far too much. Like, people were also doom posting about the code bite mechanic when Dragonspine was showed off. But honestly, Dragonspine ended up being my favorite update to explore in Genshin Impact due to its uniqueness. And I think Fontaine's underwater areas will offer a similar sort of novelty that will be very enjoyable. And actually, one last thing, I think we should readdress the elephant in the room here, and that is the drama that bad actors will try to instigate in the community once the update comes out. Before, I brought this up as a reason Fontaine would fail because I didn't plan to play the update due to my other reasons making me unimpressed. Therefore, I wasn't going to try to prevent any drama. However, now that I've changed my mind about Fontaine, I do plan to play this update for Genshin Impact. And as someone who can't stand drama in my anime mobile gaming communities, I always make sure there's none of it in the games I'm playing. For instance, in one of the anime games I'm playing right now, being Honkai Star Rail, a well-known drama farmer named Asmongold hilariously whined how there's no drama in the community for him to make videos on.
It's actually sad that there hasn't really been any crazy drama in Honkai Star Rail. Like, it's actually disappointing. Like, what has happened?
Yeah, what has happened is I play Honkai Star Rail, and as a weeb tech bro with multiple connections, I'm just a master of drama prevention. So I suggest Asmongood just packs it up if he hasn't already, as there will just be no drama in Honkai Star Rail for as long as I want to play it. And likewise, once the new Genshin Impact update comes out, I will be playing that game too, and magically there will just be zero drama there as well.